So we can officially put the Kyle Schwarber argument to bed, right? You know the argument. The argument that we've had for the last 3 seasons. That Kyle Schwarber has to hit leadoff. He has to, guys. Because he's comfortable. Where else would he hit? Oh, and by the way, look at the Phillies' record with Kyle Schwarber hitting leadoff. It has nothing to do with the fact that the Phillies are a really good baseball team. No. It's all Kyle Schwarber hit leadoff. That's why the Phillies are good. That's the Phillies' secret sauce. That's the success. You take Kyle Schwarber out of the leadoff spot, it's like taking Lane Johnson out of right tackle. We've all seen the Eagles' record. When Lane Johnson misses a game, that would be like Kyle Schwarber not hitting leadoff, right? That is the dumbest fucking argument that we as a fan base had for 3 straight seasons. And we've had a lot of dumb ones. But I'm ready to just finally put it to bed. And yeah, I'm going to do a victory lap on this because I spent 3 years on the air in Philadelphia arguing against this dumbass point. Catering comfort level to a guy that was hitting 200. It's idiotic. On Wednesday night, the Phillies won 7-2 against the Washington Nationals. Bad baseball team. Crazy thing happened, though. Crazy thing. And if you missed the game, let me just fill you in. First inning happens, okay? Now, normally Kyle Schwarber would, in previous seasons, come up in the first inning. He would be the first batter. And if he went yard, the defense of that from the broadcast, whether it be on TV or radio, would be, well, the Phillies like having a 1-0 lead in the first inning. Crazy thing happened, though. In this particular game, in 2025, Kyle Schwarber came up in the first inning, believe it or not, but there were guys on base. And he still went yard. He still hit a home run, his 9th of the season. I know, it's blowing my mind too that Kyle Schwarber wasn't zapped of his power when you took him out of the leadoff spot. I can't believe it either. Yeah, that argument right there. Well, the Phillies, I mean, they like jumping out to a 1-0 lead, It's great. Starting the game off 1-0. Oh, okay, because, yeah, starting the game off 1-0, that is cool. But maybe if you just wait like 12 minutes, maybe guys will be on base and maybe he'll knock them in, which is exactly what happened on Wednesday night. Kyle Schwarber hit his 9th home run, 23 RBIs in the season. He did so 8 games less than last year. I think it was like May 8th until he finally hit 23 RBIs. Kyle Schwarber, during his time in Philadelphia, has been one of the best home run hitters in all of baseball. Unquestioned. We haven't seen power like this in a Phillies uniform since Ryan Howard. It's not that 58 home run level, but it's the consistency that you saw during Ryan Howard's power tour, that 4-year stretch before injuries started to plague him. You're seeing that from Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber, the year I believe he hit 46 home runs, and this was 3 years ago, he became the 4th player all time in all of baseball history to hit over 45 home runs and not get 100 RBIs. Do you know why that was? Because he was hitting fucking leadoff. It was dumb. It was dumb then. It was dumb the next year. It was dumb last year. And thank God Rob Thompson has finally fixed it. Because what you saw Wednesday night is what should have been happening for the past 3 seasons. Kyle Schwarber should have been going yard with guys on base. But instead it was, oh my God, we got to have him hit leadoff. No, God, take my right arm. Don't take Kyle Schwarber out of leadoff spot. It's idiotic. They signed Trey Turner to hit leadoff. They gave him $330 million to hit leadoff. They gave him 14 games in the leadoff spot before they yanked him out of it and said, Trey, you're going to hit 2-hole, man. Figure it out. Because we got this guy who's hitting a $198. We can't move him. But doesn't he hit 45 home runs? Yeah, but we got to keep him in the leadoff spot. At times we forget that baseball is a primal game. Caveman, see ball. Caveman, throw ball past giant caveman with club. But analytics have skewed us so much where we just overthink the obvious. This is a case in point of overthinking the obvious. Rob Thompson, for 3 seasons, overthought the obvious when it came to Kyle Schwarber. I have a incredible home run hitter, an amazing power threat, one of the best home run hitters in all of baseball. I probably should hit him 4th. Because if I hit him 4th, that's a better chance to have 3 guys on base so that when that home run hitter goes deep, oh my God, we have 4 runs now. And 4 is more than 1. Like tonight. Now tonight he only hit a 3-run home run. And I'm not a mathematician. I was a track 3 kid. But 3 is more than 1. Crazy, I know. It's bonkers. Now Kyle Schwarber has hit leadoff this season so far. He's got 4 home runs in the leadoff spot. He's got 3 out of the 4-hole. So he has hit more. But he has more RBI out of the 4-hole. He has a better batting average out of the 4-hole. This blows my mind that Phillies fans were pulling hamstrings to argue for having Kyle Schwarber hit leadoff for 3 seasons. Could you imagine for 1 second if back in 2010 Charlie Manuel had Ryan Howard hit leadoff, a slow power hitter hitting leadoff because he was comfortable? I made the argument for 3 seasons. Comfortable? He's hitting 220. How about he get uncomfortable? And you were seeing that this season. He had a really good season last year. I think his average was like 240, but his on-base percentage has always been there, and that's one of the arguments of why he hits leadoff. I get that. But his season so far has been really, really, really strong. At times, it's been carrying in the Phillies offense. But what you saw Wednesday was a case study in how the Phillies messed this up for 3 seasons by having this dude hit leadoff. You know, I remember vividly being in attendance for the World Series game when he hit leadoff against Justin Verlander. And look, the bank went nuts. No doubt. It's exciting. Leadoff home runs are cool. But at the end of the day, leadoff home runs are 1 run. And every time Kyle Schwarber ever hit a leadoff home run, my first thought was, it would have been cool to have guys on base. You're seeing that this season. It should not change at all. I don't care who hits leadoff. I don't care if it's Bryson Stott. I don't care if it's Trey Turner. But the one guy it shouldn't be is Kyle Schwarber. He clogs up the base pass, and it's just idiotic to have your home run hitter hitting anywhere but 4th. Your best home run hitter should hit 4th. Sometimes it is literally that simple. It is caveman primal power hitter hit 4. More men on base. So I'm so happy that this will finally put an end to the dumbass argument, because it was one of those hills that I was willing to die on. And luckily, I didn't die on it. Now, I'm sure there's some Phillies fans out there that defended the move of Kyle Schwarber hitting leadoff. They did it for 3 seasons, and they're still not willing to just admit defeat. And those people are adorable to me. Adorable. But this is one of the reasons why I have faith in this Phillies team to make a little bit of a run, because I feel like Rob Thompson at least fixed one of his mistakes. I feel like Rob Thompson has had 3 glaring mistakes when it comes to managing Phillies baseball. And it's not like they've been massive, but I feel like it has been a detriment. And by the way, every manager has mistakes. Rob Thompson's no different. This isn't ripping Rob Thompson. I think he's done a really, really, really good job. We've seen the opposite, right? We've seen Joe Girardi. But every manager has them. And for Rob Thompson, I think his 3 are keeping Kyle Schwarber in the leadoff spot, which he fixed, never naming a solidified closer. Hey, you are the closer for this baseball team. No, it's still like, Alvarado, you'll pitch the 9th. Tomorrow, you're pitching the 8th. Hate it. And then the 3rd one is running JT Realmuto into the ground. Never having him either hit DH, play first base. Like, they really should be using Bryce Harper's versatility as a benefit. You know, put Castellanos in left, put Bryce Harper in right field, put JT Realmuto at first base to save his knees. You see the impact of him playing all those innings behind the plate. Come October, he's cooked. I think he's probably a little cooked now, to be honest with you. But those are the 3 ones. At least he fixed 1. But this has to stay the entire season. Kyle Schwarber needs to hit 3rd or 4th or 5th the entire. Now, he's only hit 1st, 2nd, or 4th. But you have to put him in a spot where men are at least on base so that when he does end up going yard, you see what happens. Go Phillies. The Philadelphia Flyers have finally found their coach, their replacement for John Tortorella. Now, if you're a Flyers fan, you're going, "What? I didn't get the memo. I've got the alerts set. I'm on the email list. I follow literally every beat writer. Got all their notifications on. What's this slap dick talking about? They found their coach. They didn't. Wait, I just checked their Twitter accounts. It's nothing." But I think they did. Because it was announced on Tuesday night that the Vancouver Canucks are moving on from Rick Tocchet, which means the Flyers have found their coach. I truly believe this is what the Flyers were waiting for. This is what they were waiting and they were hoping for. And at this point, I would be shocked if Rick Tocchet is not announced in the coming weeks as the new head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Some things are just obvious in sports. Some things are just like the fit just makes sense. And this is one of those instances where the fit just makes too much sense. And I'm sure that Danny Briere and Keith Jones will come out and they'll say, no, we're going to interview a lot of candidates. And maybe they do, you know. Maybe they take a couple of coaching candidates out to dinner. But at the end of the day, this organization will end up hiring Rick Tocchet. Mark my words. It is April 30th. I think that this is the lock of the century. A couple of reasons why. One of them being they just fired a guy in John Tortorella who was a hard-nosed coach. He was a coach that a lot of younger players didn't like playing for because of the fact that he was demanding, he was hard-nosed, all of that. Rick Tocchet is also known to be a little bit of a hard-nosed coach because he was that kind of player, but he also came into a really, really bad situation in Vancouver a year ago. He was able to get two players that despise each other in JT Miller and Elias Pettersson to at least work together, and they made a little bit of a run in the playoffs, to the point where I actually thought they had a shot at going to the Cup. Now, you have to kind of also remember the fact that this past season in Vancouver was an unmitigated disaster, which led to JT Miller getting traded to the New York Rangers because of the fact that he just could not play with Elias Pettersson. The locker room was fractured. Their captain and Quinn Hughes, who was injured, also didn't really know what to do because of the fact I think he's so young. You know, it was a Hindenburg-esque blow up. What I mean is, like, it happened so quick. But I don't think that Danny Briere and Keith Jones are really going to focus on that. I think they're going to focus on this guy will know how to talk to the younger generation, the younger players. One of the reasons why is because he was a former player himself. You know, we all know Rick Tocchet's career, and a lot of it was with the Philadelphia Flyers. Which brings me to the Good Old Boys Network. And this isn't necessarily a negative, but it's just a fact. It's like Nepo babies in Hollywood. Some of those Nepo babies are really talented. And they might have gotten there no matter what. The nepotism definitely helped. But yeah, some of them are super, super talented people. And you don't take that away from them. Yet people will bring up the Nepo baby thing. It's the same thing in sports. Sports media, it's all about who you know. And in this situation, Keith Jones and Rick Tocchet, they're old running buddies. They're very familiar with each other. They get along. I don't know if they send each other Christmas cards, but I'm sure they'll go golfing here and there. Danny Briere, former Flyer. You've got three former Flyers. Danny Briere, Rick Tocchet, Keith Jones. What do the Flyers love doing as an organization? Let's get the gang back together. Let's go. Let's get former players in. Was that the old regime under Ed Snyder? Is this the new regime under Dan Helferty? There's probably a little bit of difference. But at the end of the day, Keith Jones and Danny Briere are going to probably hire a guy they're more comfortable with, i.e. Tocchet, than go out there and get like a Mike Sullivan who just got let go by the Pittsburgh Penguins. He had a 10-year stretch in Pittsburgh. He won a couple cups there. But do they know Mike Sullivan? Are they comfortable with Mike Sullivan? Or do they want a guy that gets the, quote, Flyer way? And trust me when I say the Flyer way is very important to the organization. When Cutter Gauthier told them, I don't want to sign with you guys, one of the things that they came out with was, well, if you don't want to be a Philadelphia Flyer, you're not going to be a Philadelphia Flyer. I believe, truly in my heart of hearts, that the reason why John Tortorella was let go was to send a message to the younger team, to the younger players, hey, the Flyer way is playing as hard as you can, no matter what, till the end of the season, not mailing it in. And after John Tortorella said what he said about, I'm not changing the way I coach for this team right now, I'm kind of just waiting for it to be over. That sent a negative message, even though you couldn't even blame them because the season was so bad. So I think that they want to get a guy that understands the Flyer regime, the Flyer way that hasn't won in, God, almost over 50 years. And that's why I think Rick Tocchet's going to end up being your head coach. I don't think they'll go after a guy like Mike Sullivan. I don't think Joe Quenneville will be an option. The Rangers just fired their head coach. I don't think he's going to be an option. I just think some of these matchups make too much sense. Mike Sullivan was a former assistant coach under John Tortorella with the New York Rangers. I think he makes sense there. I think Rick Tocchet makes too much sense with the Philadelphia Flyers. I think Rick Tocchet's going to be your head coach. I don't know if Rick Tocchet's a good head coach. I mean, he's only really had, 2 years in Vancouver. He had a little bit of a stretch there in Phoenix, but you can't blame anybody for losing in Phoenix because it's like blaming anybody for losing with the Miami Marlins, kind of to be expected. So I think when you look at the Vancouver stretch, there's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad. I don't know what happens in Philadelphia. I know when he does eventually get hired, there will be blowback from older Flyers fans who are sick of the good old boys network, and they will say things like, here we go again, another former Flyer. Well, they did try outside voices before. They tried John Tortorella, outside voice, didn't work out. They tried Dave Hackstall from North Dakota State, didn't work out. They've tried both. And I think that the organization doesn't get enough credit for that. Is they'll go to a chief whose name's escaping me all of a sudden, which is bad. Hit thumbs down for that. You know who I'm talking about, though. But they'll try a Craig Berube. Thank you. Hit thumbs up. We're back. We're so back. They'll try a Craig Berube. Maybe they usher him out too soon. But at the end of the day, I don't think any coach is going to win with this team because the team doesn't have a goalie. Don't pull a hamstring convincing yourself that Sam Urson is a good goalie. He sucks. Ivan Fedotov sucks. Whoever the other kid was that they had, they all suck. They're not good. It's unfortunate what happened with the Carter Hart situation, twofold, obviously for the victims, but also because of the fact that he was supposed to be your franchise goalie. I mean, now he's probably looking to play for SKA of the KHL once they're done. So until this organization gets a goalie, they're screwed. They're not going to win. Their defense is bad. Their goaltending is bad. You're not going to win many games like that. It must pain this organization to watch the playoffs and watch Cole Caulfield continue to score goals and know that, you could have had him. You drafted Cam Friggin York. One pick before. All-time bad move. Cam York is a mediocre defenseman. Mediocre. Could he improve and get better? Sure. Is he Cole Caulfield level good? No. Not at all. I mean, imagine this organization with Cole Caulfield and Matvei Michkov. Instead, you've got Matvei Michkov. So don't fool yourself into thinking that these goalies are good, because I will warn you, you probably did the same thing with an Antero Niittymaki. You probably did the same thing with a Michael Leighton. You probably did the same thing with a Michael Norvirth. Flyers fans for the last 20-something years have taken mediocre goalies and tried to convince themselves, no, he's actually really good. And the only guy that was actually really good was Sergei Bobrovsky, and ironically, Flyers fans didn't really have a problem with ushering him out because they signed Ilya Bryzgalov, who was a disaster. Until this organization gets a goaltender, they're going to suck. I thought they should have gone after Askarov, the kid that Nashville had. Nashville traded him to the San Jose Sharks. I think the San Jose Sharks gave up a first-round pick for him, but at the end of the day, do you really care if he ends up being the guy? No, you don't. I thought the Flyers should have done that, knowing full well they were going to trade Scott Lawton, and they would have gotten a first-round pick for him. I thought they should have kind of foreseen that coming, and they should have given up a first-round pick some year. The problem is the Flyers didn't want to give up their first-round pick. Understandably so, it would have been high, but they also had Colorado's first. They had first-round picks that they could have given up, and they didn't. I didn't understand that move personally, okay? But I think this is another example of the organization overvaluing some of their goaltending prospects or the younger goaltenders and not realizing these guys aren't very good. So no matter who gets hired, and it will end up being Rick Tocchet, it's not going to matter at the end of the day because the team needs a goaltender. And until they get that, they're going to suck. something I've been primarily skipping is the NBA playoffs because the Sixers aren't in it. And for a Philadelphia sports fan, basketball season's been dead since about December. But nonetheless, the basketball season continues, believe it or not. And on Tuesday night, the Detroit Pistons beat the New York Knicks 106-103. The series right now is 3-2 New York. You expect New York to advance. You expect them to win that series. They're way more talented. They're deeper. And look, credit to Detroit. Like, they're a young, scrappy, upstart team. I wish them, everybody, Sans, Tobias Harris, nothing but the best. I can't cheer for that man ever. He stole money for 6 years. But, you know, it's cool, I guess, to see that young, like, scrappy upstart team. But the reason that I'm bringing this topic up isn't to talk about necessarily the basketball angle of it. I find something very, very, very hysterical with this series. It's coming to light just how much of an absolute flopper Jalen Brunson is. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I sat in the Wells Fargo Center a year ago watching Game 6, watch the Sixers lose, listening to Knicks fans complain and rip apart Joel Embiid for foul baiting. And yet there's their king. There's their Villanova king, Jalen Brunson, who if you sneeze on him, he looks like he got shot. Credit to Philly's own Jalen Duren, who had this to say, and if you don't read lips, he said, you flopping motherfucker. Because that's exactly what Jalen Brunson has done this entire postseason. This entire season, he flops. I think there is a big, big difference between flopping and foul baiting. Because flopping, to me, you have no honor. You are acting. You're going for an Oscar. Somebody puts a pinky on you, and you're acting like you just had your arm ripped apart, falling apart. Oh my God. Foul baiting is luring a defender in to fouling you, to breaking the rules. Foul baiting is a speed trap on 95. That's what foul baiting is. But flopping is somebody stopping short so that you rear end them so they can get insurance payout. There is a difference. And hand up, I'm a little biased with this because I'm a Sixers fan, and I think Joel Embiid is a 7'2" unicorn and people forget. But nonetheless, even if the roles were reversed, I feel like I'm impartial enough to admit, if the roles were reversed, that one is very different than the other. We've seen flopping in the past. I mean, it's been to the detriment of the Sixers at times. Like, Trae Young is a good example of that for the longest time. Like, he played with zero honor, as my former coworker Jamie Lynch would say. The guy would just absolutely flop all over the place like a dead fish. And now Jalen Brunson has taken the mantle of King Flop. Flop Daddy. He's out there like Magikarp. And I just find it hysterical. I find it very ironic and hysterical that Knicks fans who love this guy, who think he is the greatest thing since Patrick Ewing, and he's a hell of a talent. I'm not taking anything of basketball away from him, but they think that that's great. But Joel Embiid, who dropped 50 on them with one knee and a touch of palsy, no, he ain't it because he foul baits. I mean, don't break the rules, and maybe that won't be the case. But when you're flopping, and there's numerous instances during this playoffs, I feel like it's really shined a light on them and shined a light on him. Yeah, that's no honor. Scumbaggish behavior, in my humble opinion. Now, I'm biased. I don't like Jalen Brunson. I haven't liked Jalen Brunson since him and his dad were supposed to go to Temple, and because his dad decided to get well, I mean, this is documented. Like, you can look it up, but and I don't know how many people know about it. His dad was supposed to take a job at Temple University on the basketball team. Brunson was supposed to come. Jalen Brunson was supposed to come and commit. Amazingly, about 2 weeks beforehand, story comes out that Dad was in a massage parlor using the name Patrick Ewing, by the way, and he was looking for happy endings. Obviously, Temple can't hire him at that point. Dad got so mad, he decided, you know what, son? screw Temple. You should go to Villanova. That's how he ended up at Villanova. So, yeah, I haven't really liked him since that. I've held a grudge. What was that, 10 years ago? I don't get over things easily. And then obviously he teams up, and it's like, all Nova, which I don't like because I'm a Temple fan. All these Knicks. Yeah. But I find it amazing that I think there is a difference. And I don't think that the fan base of New York realizes that there's a difference. I'm looking forward to Joel Embiid coming back next season, hopefully healthy. My God, I hope so. But I'm also looking forward to the New York Knicks losing in the playoffs. Because to me, they have become the most unlikable team. I don't like Josh Hart at all. I don't like Jalen Brunson. The fact that Deuce McBride goes by the nickname Deuce. They're at that level. If anybody else in the league goes by the nickname Deuce, I'm like, whatever. The fact that it's Deuce McBride, no, don't like him. Can't stand him. And I know that this will probably get some heat from Knicks fans who will, love to pop off with their fingers on their keyboard. We all know what's coming. Tom Thibodeau has probably run your team into the ground where they're going to hit the second round, and it's going to be a carbon copy of last year where they end up losing to probably an inferior opponent. And even if they get past them, are they going to the Eastern Conference Finals and beating Boston? No. Because Boston will be fresher because their coach didn't drive the team into the ground like yours did. So it's cool. I mean, hey, enjoy it. Enjoy this run. And I've been where you are. I've had this false hope before, believe it or not. And it ends up with disappointment. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to have a very, very talented roster. And until you actually have a coach who doesn't treat it like it's 1960s, running dudes into the ground, doing wind sprints all over the place, probably not going to have a shot. And honestly, you don't deserve a shot with the way that your point guard is playing. Because he plays with no honor. Because he foul baits. Constantly. No honor. And once again, there's a massive difference between and, oh, you fouled me. Huge. So don't get mad at foul baiting, which, by the way, elite players do. Giannis does it. No one bats an eye. Joel Embiid does it. Oh, my God, he's the worst. Crazy to me. The amount of people that try to tear down Joel Embiid's talent. And then you know what's going to happen in about 10 years after he retires? You go, that dude was a problem. Yeah, some people tried to tell you. And you didn't want to listen. Anyway, I guess go Pistons for the time being. When the Pistons eventually lose, whoever the Knicks play in the next round, go them. I think it'll be done by that point. Yeah. And I wish Jalen Brunson and his dad nothing but the worst. I want to preface this by saying I'm not going to make this overly political. Because one thing I always believed in when I worked in sports radio is if you start bringing in politics, you're going to alienate 50% of your audience no matter what. You're either pissing off 50% or you're just preaching to the choir, and at that point you're not really doing anything. You're not changing hearts and minds ever, especially in today's day and age. So, and we've seen that with one certain host, amazingly, who never figured it out. But I do want to talk about the Eagles going to the White House a bit, because this past week the Eagles visited the White House and people got pissed off. And then you had other people who got pissed off, even though they weren't initially pissed off, but they were pissed off because people were pissed off. And that's kind of the climate of today's day and age when it comes to the country. You've got the right, who love their president, and then you've got the left, who think they think he's the worst thing in the world. And anybody who dare go and visit Donald Trump, anybody who goes to the White House, anybody who goes to his golf course, what have you, immediately they get labeled MAGA. Immediately the left make claims that they won't watch. Conversely, immediately the right, if you don't end up supporting him, will make a similar claim. I want to give credit to Kevin Kincaid from Crossing Broad, who put out a very, very, very accurate tweet. It basically said that the left is going to be pissed off about the players who go to the White House, yet they're going to watch. The right will get pissed off at the players who didn't go, yet they will watch. And that is the crux of this. It's faux outrage. This country is littered with faux outrage. People that look to get offended. And by the way, it is on both sides. Both sides will tell you, no, it's them, and they'll finger point. It is the Spider-Man gif. That's what it is. People wake up looking to be offended. This dates back to people or athletes protesting the anthem. Taking a knee. A silent protest. That, by the way, I think this completely gets thrown under the carpet with it. Either people know it and they ignore it, or people just don't know it. The silent protest by Colin Kaepernick was started because he went to a Green Beret, a teammate, a former Green Beret, who was a long snapper, and he asked him, hey, I don't really like what's going on in the country right now. I want to do some kind of protest. What could I possibly do? The Green Beret was the one who said, by the way, take a knee. That's what we do when there's a fallen comrade. Take a knee. I'd be okay with that. And that gets ignored. That it was the Green Beret who said, oh, hey, this would be okay. Apparently not, because people got offended. And you know what they did every Sunday? They watched. Because you know what no one cares about? The coin toss. The national anthem. They don't. It's just the reality. Ratings have never been higher for the NFL. Ever been higher for the NFL. Every year they go up. You could argue about the quality going down, but every year the ratings go up. The Super Bowl ratings go up. That's the way it is. And at no point next season will I be sitting there on my couch on a Sunday watching Saquon Barkley hit a home run, bust that 70-yarder, basically untouched, like he did, 6, 7, 8, 9 times last season, whatever it was. At no point will I see him do that and be cheering and go, wait, oh, God, I forgot he met with the president. Oh, my God. I can't cheer for this man. He went golfing. Do I approve of it? Does it matter? In all honesty, does it matter if I approve of what Saquon Barkley does with his free time? Doesn't. Would I have gone and golfed with Donald Trump? Fuck and no. I am a lib cuck soy boy, as they say. As a right dripped out in red will tell you. All right? I lean heavily left. But honest to God, do I care that the best right tackle in football for the past decade went to the White House and Lane Johnson? No, don't. Not really. It's not going to change my opinion. Because at the end of the day, I can't get mad at athletes for not thinking exactly the way I think. And the reality is that the majority of athletes aren't going to think the way I think. They're not. I think the Republicans for a while now have catered to the wealthier. And the reason I bring that up is because who are really wealthy people? Pro athletes. Yeah, pro athletes who have every reason in a lot of ways, i.e. tax cuts, to vote that way. So I'm not shocked by this. There's a famous quote from Charles Barkley who said he became a Republican after he became rich. I'm not going to get mad at these athletes for going to the White House in April, when come September, I know I'm going to be right there watching, cheering. That's just the way it is. One of my favorite bands ever is a band called Brand New. Their lead singer got canceled, and they're making a comeback. They announced a tour, first one in 8 years, and it's exciting for a person like me. And then you've got the other side of it, the side that wants to be offended. The side that necessarily forgets they don't have to buy tickets, they don't have to buy merch, they don't have to go, but they want to remind you, oh my God, I can't believe you're a piece of shit for supporting this. At the end of the day, it's look, I don't have to hang out with them. But I like what they do. I like their art. I don't have to hang out with Lane Johnson at the White House with Donald Trump. I don't have to hang out with Big Dom at the White House with Donald Trump. But I like what they do on Sundays because that brings me joy. The faux outrage over this is insane. Because I think I saw it the biggest with the protests of taking a knee and the people claiming, like, I'm done with the NFL. No, you're fucking not. Get real. You are not done with the NFL. You're never going to be done with the NFL. The NFL owns multiple days of the week. NFL season comes around. They own you on Sunday. They own you on Monday. I don't know if they own you on Thursday because a lot of those games are trash. And then later on in the season, they own you on Saturday. Like, get real with yourself. And this is coming from a guy that leans left. And I can't find the energy to get outraged over athletes going to the White House. And conversely, I can't get over the moon about athletes skipping. If I was on the team, I would have skipped. But, like, that's me. And does it matter at the end? No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you don't really care that Jalen Hurts skipped the White House trip as long as he's hoisting Lombardis. That's all you care about. Be real with yourself. If you're on the right, that is all you care about. And if you're on the left, all you care about is that Lane Johnson's keeping them clean. That's it. All you care about is that Saquon Barkley is busting touchdown runs. If you want to make some kind of silent protest, don't buy their jerseys, I guess. You know, every NFL player gets a cut of their jersey sales. That's about it. Because you need to look inward and realize nothing is changing for you and your schedule come Sundays during September to February. You're still watching. So stop getting faux outraged. It's a joke.